Close your eyes and imagine a world 2,000 years ago. A city alive with noise and heat, with marble columns rising above narrow, crowded streets. This is Rome, the heart of an empire, the center of power, wealth, and ambition. But this story isn't about the triumphal arches or the glory of emperors. It is about the rhythms of daily life, the struggles that filled each day, and the quiet details that made Rome both magnificent and exhausting. As you listen, let your breathing slow. Each word will guide you deeper, carrying you across time. Picture yourself not as an emperor or a senator, but as an ordinary Roman, a person who worked, sweated, prayed, and dreamed long before the modern world was born. Now, step into the streets of Rome. You wake at dawn in a cramped, insula-tall apartment block made of wood and stones. The walls are thin, the air heavy with the smell of smoke, oil, and yesterday's bread. Above you, neighbors stir, their footsteps echoing. Below you, the noise of animals, carts, and vendors already begins. The city never truly sleeps. Water is precious. If you live on the upper floors, the aqueducts do not reach you. You climb down narrow stairways to fill a jar at a public fountain. The water is cool, but the line is long. Around you, people argue, merchants shout, and children dart between the crowd. You balance the jar, carefully it is heavy, and spilling it means another trip. Food is simple: bread, olives, maybe a little porridge. Meat is rare, too expensive for most. If you are lucky, you might find some dried figs or a splash of wine mixed with water. Breakfast is not a feast. It is fuel and little more. Now, step outside. The streets are crowded. Narrow lanes twist between buildings, filled with carts creaking under the weight of goods. Mules bray, chickens scatter, vendors shout about fresh fish, vegetables, or cheap trinkets. The smell is overwhelming, a mixture of sweat, smoke, spices, and waste. Rome is alive, but it is not clean. The city is dangerous too. Fire is always a threat. Insulae, the tall apartments, burn easily. A single spark can spread into an inferno. At night, thieves and gangs patrol the alleys. The watchmen are few. The streets are many. To live in Rome is to live with constant risk. Work fills your day. If you are a craftsman, your hands are rough with labor, shaping clay pots, weaving cloth, or hammering metal. If you are a laborer, you haul stone, build walls, or unload ships at the docks. Wages are low, hours are long, and your body aches. Entertainment offers escape. In the forum, orators shout their arguments, promising change. In the Circus Maximus, chariots race at breathtaking speed, dust rising as wheels scrape against stone. And in the amphitheater, gladiators fight, their lives given for the crowd's cheers. The noise is deafening, the energy intense. Yet even here, you are just one among thousands, shouting until your throat is dry. At night, you return to your insula. The stairways are dark, the oil lamps flicker. The walls groan as the building sways slightly. You lie on your straw mat, listening to the hum of the city outside, the distant call of vendors, the bark of dogs, the clatter of hooves on stones. Sleep comes slowly as you think of the next day. Another climb to the fountain, another long day of labor, another crowded street. Life in Rome was not easy. For every shining marble column, there were shadows in the alleys. For every feast of the wealthy, there was hunger among the poor. To be a Roman citizen was to endure as much as to celebrate. And yet, in this struggle, there was a rhythm: the rising sun, the crowded markets, the endless sound of footsteps and voices. All of it formed the heartbeat of a city that has never truly died. Now, imagine yourself not as a citizen in the crowded streets, but as a gladiator. The name itself carries weight, half admired, half pitied. For some, it is a path chosen. For many, it is a fate forced upon them. Prisoners of war, criminals, or slaves often fill the ranks. Others, desperate for fame or escape from poverty, volunteer. The day begins early. Inside the Ludus the Gladiator School, the air smells of oil and iron. The walls echo with the scrape of metal and the sharp crack of wooden practice swords. You rise from your narrow bed, your body already marked with bruises and scars. The sun is barely above the horizon, yet the drill masters are shouting, their voices rough and impatient. Training is relentless. You lift heavy weights of stone, push against wooden poles, and practice strikes again and again until your arms tremble. Shields slam together in drills. Spears stab into straw targets. Sweat drips down your face, mixing with the dust beneath your feet. There is no rest knot if you want to live. Food is plain but filling. Barley, porridge, beans, bread, and water. Meat is rare, but trainers sometimes provide it. Knowing a strong body means a better fighter. Doctors tend to your wounds, but only so you may fight again. Every injury is a reminder of the thin line you walk between survival and death. Then the day of a match arrives. The Colosseum looms above you, its arches filled with tens of thousands of people. The sound is overwhelming: cheers, jeers, the roar of voices echoing like thunder. You stand in the darkness of the underground chambers, the hypogeum, hearing the scrape of chains, the growls of animals waiting in cages. The gates open. Light blinds you. Sand crunches beneath your sandals. The crowd rises, their faces ablur, their hands waving. You grip your weapon, maybe a short sword, maybe a trident and net, maybe a curved blade. Each style has its place, each carries risk. Across from you stands another gladiator. He is strong, his eyes fixed on you. You circle, the crowd roaring at every feint, every clash of steel. Time slows. Each strike is heavy, each block desperate. Dust clings to your skin, sweat stings your eyes. The sound of metal on metal rings out, sharp and cold. If you fall, the crowd decides. Some shout for mercy, others demand blood. You lie in the sand, your chest heaving, waiting for the signal. A thumb turned one way or the other. Life or death decided in a single gesture. But if you win, the roar of the crowd fills you with fire. Laurel crowns are placed on your head, coins scattered at your feet. You are paraded as a hero, even if tomorrow you must fight again. Fame is fleeting, but for a moment you feel untouchable. Back in the Ludus, you sit in the dim light of an oil lamp. Your hands ache, your body trembles, but you are alive. Others were not so lucky. Their names will fade. Yours, for now, remains. And as sleep pulls you down, you wonder which is worse. The fear of dying tomorrow, or the endless cycle of fighting, bleeding, and surviving, only to step back into the sand again. To be a gladiator was to be caught between honor and death, a symbol of Rome's might, and yet a prisoner within it. Now, drift further south to the Bay of Naples. Here lies the city of Pompeii. Today, it is quiet. its streets are frozen in time, its houses silent, its people long gone. But 2,000 years ago, Pompeii was alive, bustling, wealthy, full of color and sound. Imagine walking through its streets in the year 79 CE. The stone roads are worn smooth by carts. Villas line the avenues, painted with bright murals, reds, blues, and golds, shimmering in the sunlight. The air carries the scent of fresh bread from the bakery, mixed with the temps of wine and the smoke of hearth fires. Markets overflow with goods, figs, olives, honey, fish pulled fresh from the sea. The people of Pompeii live well. The city is known for its wealth, for its villas decorated with fountains and mosaics, for its amphitheater where games are held. Baths are busy, their marble floors echoing with laughter and conversation. At night, taverns glow with oil lamps, music drifting into the streets. Pompeii is a city of comfort and leisure, but above it all, silent and steady, looms Mount Vesuvius. The mountain seems calm, its slopes green with vineyards. Few suspect the power sleeping beneath it, and then it awakens. A rumble shakes the ground. Ash begins to fall like snow. At first, people are curious. They look up, puzzled, but the ash grows heavier, the sky darker. The air thickens with choking smoke. Panic spreads. Families rush through the streets, clutching children, carrying what they can. Some flee to the sea, others shelter in their homes. Hours pass. The ash grows into layers. Roofs collapse under the weight. The air glows red as fiery stones fall from the sky. The mountain roars, pouring fire and gas into the city. Those who remain cannot escape. In a single day, Pompeii is buried. Lives are ended in an instant, their final moments captured in stone. Centuries pass. The city is forgotten, hidden beneath earth and silence. Farmers grow vineyards above the buried streets, unaware of what lies beneath their feet. Then, slowly, Pompeii is rediscovered. In the 18th century, excavations reveal walls painted with brilliant colors, streets frozen mid-step, loaves of bread still in ovens, jars of oil still sealed. The past is uncovered with eerie clarity. The people themselves appear as plaster casts, bodies curled, faces frozen, gestures of protection and fear immortalized in ash. To walk through Pompeii today is to walk between worlds. The stones are ancient, yet they feel alive. The fountains are dry, but you can almost hear the trickle of water. The amphitheater is empty, but echoes of voices linger. Each street, each room, is a snapshot of life interrupted. And so, Pompeii remains a mystery, not just of destruction, but of preservation. A city caught forever between life and death, a reminder of how fragile even the greatest comforts can be. As you picture the silent streets, the still villas, and the shadow of Vesuvius, let your breathing slow. Let the calm of Pompeii's frozen moment carry you deeper into rest. Not everyone in Rome lived as a citizen. For every senator in his villa, every merchant in the market, every craftsman at his tools, there were slaves, the hidden foundation of Roman life. Imagine yourself as one of them. You do not own your body, your time, or your future. You are the property of another, bought and sold like a tool, a beast of burden, or a piece of land. Your day begins before dawn. In the villa of a wealthy master, you rise silently. The air is cool, the marble floors chill beneath your bare feet. You light the lamps, stoke the fires, and prepare food. Bread must be baked, wine poured, oil lamps trimmed. You move quickly, carefully, always aware of the sharp eyes of your master. In the fields, life is harder still. Under the burning sun, you bend low among vines and olive trees, your back aching, your hands raw. Overseers watch with whips in hand, their voices harsh. The hours stretch endlessly, the heat pressing down on you like a weight. Water is rationed, rest is brief. The rhythm of your life is the rhythm of labor. Some slaves work in the city. You might be sold into a household as a servant, or rented out as a porter, carrying heavy loads through the crowded streets. Others are trained as tutors, scribes, or accountants' tasks requiring skill and learning. These slaves live more comfortably, but their freedom is no closer. Knowledge does not buy release. The most unfortunate are those sent to the mines. Deep underground, the air is thick and suffocating. The work is brutal, the danger constant. Few survive long. Their lives end in darkness, their names forgotten. And yet, not all is despair. Some masters grant manumission, the gift of freedom. A loyal slave, after years of service, may be released and become a freedman. These rare moments offer hope. Freedmen often remain close to their former masters, working in business or managing estates. But for most, freedom is a distant dream, a flicker of light, always out of reach. At night, you lie on a simple mat, your body aching, your thoughts restless. You dream of liberty, of owning your own life. You picture walking through the streets, not as property, but as a person. And yet the dawn will come, and with it, the same duties, the same commands, the same endless cycle. Slavery was the shadow of Rome. It built the roads, the aqueducts, the temples. It filled the kitchens, the fields, and the mines. Without slaves, Rome would not have been what it was. And yet, for those who lived it, slavery meant a life not of glory, but of survival. Quietly, this truth lingers beneath the marble and the grandeur. Behind the triumphs and monuments, millions lived lives of silence, toil, and obedience. When people think of Rome, they often picture legions marching in perfect line shields, glittering, standards waving, trumpets calling out above the din. From the outside, it looks powerful, disciplined, unstoppable. But for the soldier inside those ranks, life was far from glorious. Imagine yourself standing in formation at dawn. The air is cold, the ground damp with morning mist. You wear heavy armor iron plates pressing on your shoulders, a helmet that chafes against your skin. The rectangular shield is strapped tightly to your arm, the weight numbing your muscles. A gladius, short and sharp, hangs at your side. Already, your body is sore before the march even begins. The march is endless, 20 miles, sometimes more, across rough ground, under burning sun or freezing rain. Your sandals rub blisters into your feet, dust cakes your throat, sweat drips into your eyes. And when the march ends, rest does not follow. You set to work building a camp, digging ditches, raising palisades, driving stakes into the earth. Every soldier works with pick and spade before he sleeps. Discipline allows no excuses. Meals are prepared and repetitive. A soldier's diet is grain, ground into porridge or bread, sometimes cheese, sometimes dried meat, but rarely luxury. You carry your own rations on your back, along with tools, weapons, and spare equipment. The pack weighs heavy, pressing into your shoulders as you trudge mile after mile, and then comes battle. The trumpet calls, the ground shakes beneath the march of thousands. The enemy stands ahead, shouting, beating drums. The centurions bark orders, their voices sharp and demanding. You lock shields with the men beside you, shoulder pressed against shoulder, forming a wall of iron. The clash is brutal. Javelins fly through the air, the whistle of death overhead. You advance step by step, your shield slamming forward, your sword stabbing in short, quick bursts. The noise is deafening, metal on metal, cries of pain, the roar of thousands of voices. You cannot see beyond the shield in front of you, cannot think beyond the rhythm drilled into you. Block, push, strike. If you survive, there is no celebration. Victory means looting, then marching again. Defeat means death, capture, or worse. Even in peace, the soldier's life is strict. Whippings for disobedience, harsh drills, endless discipline. The legion is a machine, and you are only a small piece. Years pass this way, campaigns in Gaul, in Britain, in Germania, endless forests, mountains, rivers, foreign lands that feel nothing like home. Letters are rare, families far away. For decades, you serve the eagle's standard, with no certainty you will live long enough to see retirement. And yet, the promise of reward lingers. 25 years of service, and you may be granted land, money, or citizenship. A future if you survive. But each day, as you tighten your armor, lift your shield, and march again, the weight of that promise feels distant. To be a Roman soldier was to live in hardship and discipline, with death always near. Rome was built on their backs, but the glory of empire was bought with sweat, blood, and silence. Among all the names of Rome, one stands above the rest: Gaius Julius Caesar. His story is not only about battles and politics, it is about ambition, power, betrayal, and the turning of Rome itself from republic to empire. Picture him as a young man in the bustling streets of Rome. The republic is unstable, torn by rivalries, corruption, and unrest. Caesar is ambitious, but also cautious. He dresses with care, speaks with charm, and surrounds himself with allies. From early on, he knows that to survive in Roman politics, one must be bold and patient. He begins with oratory. In the forum, his voice rises above the crowd, smooth and persuasive. He prosecutes corrupt governors, gaining attention. He builds friendships, especially with the people of Rome, always seeking popularity among the masses. He spends money he does not have, staging games and spectacles, feeding crowds, making himself a figure impossible to ignore. But Caesar is not only a politician, he is a soldier. When appointed governor of Gaul, he leads his legions into a land of forests, rivers, and tribes. For nearly a decade, he fights campaign after campaign, defeating enemies, building bridges, marching deep into unknown lands. His legions worship him, for he shares their hardships, marching with them, eating their food, enduring their struggles. Together, they carve out a vast province for Rome, and Caesar's name spreads like fire. Yet with glory comes fear. The Senate back in Rome watches him uneasily. His power grows too great, his ambition too obvious. Rivals whisper, calling him dangerous, a threat to the Republic. When his term in Gaul ends, they demand he return as a private citizen, stripped of his command. But Caesar refuses. At the banks of the Rubicon River, he makes his choice. Alia iacta est, the die is cast. He leads his legions into Italy, defying the Senate, sparking civil war. Rome trembles. Battles rage across the Mediterranean world. Pompey, once his ally, now his enemy, flees east but is defeated. One by one, Caesar's enemies fall until he alone stands victorious. He returns to Rome not as a general but as a ruler. In the years that follow, Caesar takes the title of dictator, perpetuo dictator, for life. He reforms the calendar, redistributes land, forgives debts. The people cheer him, but the Senate grows uneasy. To some, he is a savior. To others, he is a tyrant who will end the republic. And then, on the Ides of March, in the year 44 BCE, it happens. Caesar enters the Senate. The chamber is filled with men he believes are allies. But daggers flash, senators close in, striking again and again. Among them is Brutus, once a friend. Caesar falls at the base of Pompey's statue, his life ended by the very institution he had sought to master. Silence follows. Rome is left without its leader. But Caesar's death does not restore the Republic. Instead, it unleashes chaos, civil wars, rivalries, power struggles. Out of this storm, a new ruler will rise. Augustus, the first emperor. The Republic dies, and the empire is over. Even in death, Caesar's shadow stretches across centuries. His name becomes a title Caesar, later Kaiser, later Czar. His ambition reshaped the world, and yet, beneath the marble statues and the legends, he was a man. He dreamed, he fought, he reached for power, and he fell. His story is a reminder of the fragile line between greatness and downfall. Rome was not just a city of marble, politics, or armies. It was a city of water. Without water, Rome could not have been Rome. Imagine standing outside the city walls, looking up at a line of arches stretching across the landscape. They rise high and steady, stone upon stone, reaching toward the horizon. These are the aqueducts, silent giants, carrying life into the heart of Rome. The Romans were masters of engineering. They studied the land carefully, tracing gentle slopes across miles of hills and valleys. With only gravity as their guide, they built channels that carried water from distant springs and rivers directly into the city. Some aqueducts ran for 50 miles or more, their flow so precise that a drop of water could travel all that distance without interruption. Inside the channels, cool water shimmered in darkness. The aqueducts were lined with stone, sealed with plaster, designed to last for centuries. Underground tunnels cut through mountains, while bridges of arches carried water across wide valleys. Each arch was a piece of art and calculation, balanced perfectly to withstand time and weight. As the water entered Rome, it split into fountains, baths, cisterns, and homes. Citizens filled jars at public basins, while the wealthy had private pipes leading directly into their villas. The baths, vast and elaborate, were fed constantly with flowing water, hot, warm, and cold, creating spaces of comfort and social life unmatched anywhere else. Even the sewers benefited. The Cloaca Maxima, Rome's great drain, carried waste away, keeping the streets cleaner than in many later centuries. It was water that made the city livable, even as its population swelled to more than 1 million. And yet, there is a quiet mystery in the aqueducts. How did the Romans, without modern machines or computers, measure the land with such accuracy? How did they maintain such vast networks over centuries? Some aqueducts still stand today, their arches unbroken, their channels intact. Even now, engineers study them, admiring their balance of simplicity and genius. To walk beneath an aqueduct at dusk is to feel the weight of history pressing down in silence. The stones glow with the fading light, the arches cast long shadows, and above it all, the memory of flowing water lingers. The sound is gone, but if you listen closely, you can almost hear it, the steady rush, the endless gift of life to the city below. In this, Rome reveals its secret. It was not only built by swords and laws, but by quiet, patient streams of water, carried across the land by arches that touch the sky. Not all Romans labored in fields, fought in legions, or struggled in servitude. Some lived lives of wealth, leisure, and political power, the senators and elites. To them, Rome was not hardship, but opportunity, prestige, and indulgence. Imagine entering the home of a senator, not a simple house, but a villa sprawling across courtyards, gardens, and grand halls. Marble columns rise toward painted ceilings. Mosaic floors shimmer with patterns of dolphins, gods, and mythic beasts. Every detail speaks of wealth, of refinement, of the reach of Roman taste. The day begins not with toil, but with ritual. At dawn, the senator is attended by slaves, who dress him in the white toga candida when he is to appear in public, or a richly dyed cloak when at home. He eats a breakfast of bread, fruit, cheese, and honey, while scribes read letters and assistants prepare for the day's business. In the Forum, Romanum senators gather beneath the open sky. Voices rise and echo between the basilicas and temples. Political debates unfold slowly, formally, in long speeches, heavy with rhetoric. Some senators speak with fiery conviction, others with calm persuasion, but all with the knowledge that words can shape Rome's fate. Decisions on taxes, wars, laws, and treaties rest in their hands, or at least in the hands of those powerful enough to sway the chamber. Yet, political duty is only part of their life. In the afternoon, the elite retreat to baths, not crowded public ones, but private spaces where warm waters shimmer in marble pools. Conversations continue here, mixing business with relaxation. Deals are struck in the steam-filled rooms, alliances forged as easily as they are broken. Dining is the heart of luxury. Reclining on couches, guests are served course after course. Oysters from distant coasts, roasted meats, exotic fruits from Africa and the East, wine flows, spiced and sweetened, poured by careful hands. Entertainment follows, musicians, poets, dancers, or even the recitation of literature. To dine with a senator is not simply to eat, but to display status and power. For the women of the elite, life offers its own privileges. They dress in silks, dyed in colors, rare and costly. Gold jewelry gleams at their wrists and necks. They manage households, direct servants, and sometimes play quiet but decisive roles in politics through influence over husbands, brothers, or sons. And beyond the city, villas in the countryside provide escape. There, surrounded by vineyards and olive groves, senators hunt, rest, and write poetry. The air is calmer, the pace slower. Yet even in retreat, their lives are guided by politics, by ambition, by the careful balance of alliances and appearances. But luxury comes with unease. The elite live in fear of unrest, of betrayal, of emperors who rise suspicious of their power. One wrong word, one accusation, and wealth can vanish in an instant. Beneath the marble and gold lies constant caution, the knowledge that fortune is fragile. To be a senator was to live at Rome's pinnacle, basking in splendor and command. Yet it was also to walk a narrow path unoared by many, envied by more, and always at risk of the shifting winds of Roman politics. Beneath the bustling streets of Rome, hidden away from the noise of markets, the shouts of soldiers, and the echoes of politics, lies another city, a city of silence, a city of the dead. These are the catacombs, long, winding tunnels carved into soft volcanic stone, stretching for miles beneath the earth. To step inside is to leave behind the sunlight and descend into darkness, where the air is cool, damp, and still. The catacombs began as burial places. In ancient Rome, land was costly and open ground scarce. Wealthy citizens could afford elaborate tombs along the roads leading into the city. But for ordinary people, especially early Christians and Jews, burial meant something different. They turned to the underground. Imagine walking with a flickering oil lamp. The narrow passageways stretch before you, walls carved with small niches. In each niche rests a body, wrapped in cloth, sealed with stone or plaster. Some are marked with symbols, a fish, a dove, a palm branch. Others bear names scratched into the rock, fading but not forgotten. The tunnels are quiet but not empty of meaning. Murals bloom on the walls, scenes of banquets, gardens, and biblical figures. Simple drawings of shepherds, loaves of bread, or ships sailing calm seas remind the living of peace and hope. The catacombs were not only for burial, but for memory, for faith, for community, in times when open worship was dangerous. To wander deeper is to feel the weight of centuries, generations of families rest side by side, children, parents, elders, sharing the same eternal silence. The air carries the faint, earthy scent of dust and stone, a stillness broken only by the drip of water seeping from above. There is mystery here too. Many tunnels remain unexplored, their maps incomplete, their secrets hidden. Some chambers open into wide spaces, almost like small underground chapels. Were these places of worship, of gathering, of prayer whispered by hidden voices? Scholars still debate, while the catacombs keep their secrets. And yet, even in death, life lingers. Archaeologists uncover lamps, rings, coins, and simple possessions buried with the departed. These small objects speak softly across time, reminders that those who rested here were once alive, laughing, working, struggling, just like us. Walking in the catacombs today is a journey into another world. Above, Rome still bustles, alive with modern traffic and voices. Below, silence stretches in endless corridors, where the past waits patiently. To imagine yourself there, oil lamp in hand, is to feel the calm of stone walls surrounding you, the hush of countless lives united in rest. The catacombs remind us of Rome's depth, not only its triumphs and glory, but also its quiet, enduring humanity. Rome was not built in a day, and it did not fall in a single moment. The decline was slow, like a candle burning lower, the flame flickering before it fades. Imagine the empire at its height, the Colosseum full of cheering voices, markets overflowing with goods from Africa, Asia, and the Mediterranean, roads stretching like veins across continents, armies guarding distant frontiers. To live in Rome was to feel as if it would last forever. But time erodes even the strongest stone. The cracks began quietly: corruption in the Senate, greed among governors, emperors who rose and fell with dizzying speed. The treasury emptied under the weight of constant wars, while the poor grew restless, their bellies empty, their hopes dim. borders became harder to defend. From the forests of Germania, tribes pressed against the frontiers. From the steppes of the east, riders thundered in Rome's legions, once invincible, were stretched thin, weary from endless campaigns. Cities were sacked, villages burned, provinces lost. Inside the empire, the old unity frayed. The rich withdrew into their villas, safe behind high walls, while common people struggled in the streets. Trade slowed, roads fell into disrepair, and the aqueducts, those mighty channels of life, crumbled in places, their waters no longer reaching thirsty homes. And yet, the fall was not only about armies or walls, it was also about spirit. The belief in Rome's eternal strength began to fade. Citizens no longer felt the same loyalty, the same pride. Too many. Rome had become distant, a name, not a home. In the year 476 CE, the final emperor in the West, Romulus Augustulus, was deposed. A boy, too young and powerless to resist, swept aside by Odoacer, a Germanic chieftain. Rome, once mistress of the world, was left without its crown. But the story did not end there. The eastern half, Byzantium, continued for centuries. Roman law, architecture, and culture endured, shaping Europe and beyond. The fall was not an ending, but a transformation, like a great tree collapsing in the forest, its roots nourishing the soil for new growth. For those who lived it, however, it must have felt like a slow, uneasy dusk. Imagine sitting in a crumbling villa, the garden overgrown, the fountains dry. You hear rumors of armies on the horizon, of emperors slain, of taxes rising. You sense that the world you knew is fading. The marble still gleams, but beneath it, the foundation is cracking. The fall of Rome reminds us that nothing, however grand, is eternal. Even the mightiest empires drift into memory, their voices softened by time, their monuments weathered by wind and rain. And yet, in this ending, there is a kind of peace. Rome's story lingers not as a shout, but as a whisper, owing in ruins, in words, in the stones that still stand beneath the sun. So, as you reflect on the fall of Rome, let your thoughts settle. Imagine the flicker of torchlight fading into stillness, the noise of the forum dissolving into silence. The empire is gone, but its shadow remains, stretching gently across the centuries.